Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us for our summer camp Q&A. We're excited to have you here. We are here to answer any questions that you guys might have. We've already gotten some summer camp questions submitted to us, so thank you guys for doing that. My name is Katie Bishop. I am the Communications and Engagement Specialist for Recreation. And with me today, I have a few of our RPA team members that are going to be here to answer your questions. And we also have a member of our fire department that will be waiting for any specific questions that may come up about the health and safety of your children during our summer camps. So I will go ahead and introduce Krista and Jen. They will be on hand to answer any of your questions, and they're going to start out with an overview. Krista, if you can unmute your, there you are. All right, go ahead and start, Krista. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. We are excited about summer camp starting next week and wanted to take this evening just to share some information about summer camp with you. We have had quite a bit of changes in the last few days with summer camp and the overall structure. Many of you that are on with us this evening may have just recently gotten an email that you're accepted into camp, and that is because we did receive word yesterday from the Pinellas County Child Care Licensing Board that we were able to increase our group sizes. Although we are able to go all the way up to 25 children, the City of Largo has chosen to remain at 20 children in a group. So it will be 1 leader with 20 children. For those of you that were on a waiting list and were not accepted in the first group of registrations, an email did go out yesterday informing you that you could start camp on June 8th. And the reason that we are asking for June 8th is because that gives the staff time to process all the administrative tasks, including the rosters, the registration paperwork, and the payments for camp before we welcome the second wave of children into camp. As we receive notification from any of the families that were notified yesterday that they are no longer in need of childcare for this summer, we will continue to reach out to parents that are still on our waiting list. Although summer camp is going to look different in many ways this summer due to COVID-19, we can assure you that your children are going to have a fun and memorable experience this summer. The staff are working hard to plan activities, but I did want to take a few minutes to just cover some of the things that we are doing to address COVID-19 in camp. We are implementing a curbside drop-off and pickup. Drop-off will be from 7 a.m. till 9 a.m. and pickup from 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. each day, and that is at all 3 of our camp locations. Parents will need to remain in their vehicle through both of this process of drop-off and pickup. A staff member will walk to your vehicle with your sign-in and sign-out folder. They will bring you a sanitized pen to actually sign your children in. And in the morning, the temperature of the children will also be taken. Any child that has a temperature over 100.4 will not be permitted to stay in camp that day. During the day, in the hours of summer camp from 7 a.m. till 6 p.m., our facilities will be closed to the public. So there will be no one that will be permitted to enter our building during that time frame. Currently, staff are required to wear masks. As we move forward, that requirement may be relaxed, but as of right now, they are required. However, masks are optional for children. So that is your choice as a parent if you'd like for them to wear it. They are more than welcome to bring those. However, we cannot require them to keep them on throughout the day. Regular hand washing will be built into the camp rotations, so that will be between different activities as more frequently than we have in years past. Unfortunately, we have canceled field trips for the month of June, and we will reevaluate whether or not it is safe to resume field trips during the month of July and August at a later date. But for the month of June, they are canceled. However, rest assured that the staff have built in several on-site activities that will be coming to the camp locations to be able to do engaging activities with the children in place of those field trips. The camps at Southwest and Highland will be swimming on a daily basis. They will both swim every day of the week. We hope that in the next few weeks we can begin to include McGow Nature Camp in that rotation as well and start transporting but at the current time, Highland and Southwest camps will swim every day. I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer Fawcett, our child care supervisor, to talk about more specifics about summer camp.
Hi guys, I'm glad you could join us this evening. I'm going to be covering just some few details about our camps, but I also have on site with us at the end for any questions and answers. We have Miss Andrea with our Highland camp and Miss Sarah with our Southwest camp, so that if we have any specific questions, we need them, they're here on mic with us. The leaders are planning activities based around the weekly theme, and that'll include special on-site activities and spirit days. During the t-shirt pickup process, you'll have a calendar in your envelope, and that'll tell you about the spirit days and the special guests that are coming in for the month of June, because we won't be going off-site. The campers do need to bring with them lunch, snacks, and things for swimming daily. So they'll need a swimsuit, sunscreen, and a towel. McGow at this time has not added swimming onto their rotations, but we're hopeful in the weeks ahead that we can communicate that to our McGow campers that we can add swimming in. They will be swimming on site at their own pools currently. We haven't received the final clarification from the summer food program. The contract that we're working on does have lunch and snack beginning week 2 for Highland and Southwest summer camps on June 8th. But at this time, we don't have our final confirmation yet. So definitely week 1 of summer camp, McGow, Highland, and Southwest will all need to pack their lunch, pack snacks, and also a refillable water bottle so that throughout the day, they can fill it up and stay hydrated. The City of Largo does not provide sunscreen to the campers anymore, so if you want your child to wear sunscreen, you can definitely have them apply it before coming to camp. And if they bring their own sunscreen to camp, then we will remind them to put them on during outside activities. The summer camp hours for McGow are 7:30 to 5:30, and for Highland and Southwest, it's 7 to 4. With an aftercare option available from 4 to 6 p.m. at an additional fee. Campers must be signed in by 9 a.m. daily. Because this summer we're doing the curbside drop-off and pickup, we have staff out there from the beginning of camp through till 9 a.m. to assist the campers with the temperature check, sign-in, hand washing, and then to their groups. After 9 a.m., if you are coming, you must have a doctor's note to be permitted to come in after 9 a.m. and then you will have to call the facility to be let in. The facilities are all closed from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. so adults will not be permitted into the facilities. All enrollment paperwork for campers must be completed through the EPAC link that's sent out to families. If you have not received your link, you can email largocamps@largo.com and we can resend you a link. Families that have received confirmation their child might begin summer camp on June 1st are picking up their t-shirts and camp calendar and information packets this week from 4 to 7 p.m. For the families that were just notified and they're going to begin summer camp on June 8th, they'll be able to pick up their information packets, t-shirts, and calendars June 3rd through 5th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at their camp location. And I think that's the main part of our little camp details here. Katie, do we have any questions coming in?
Yes, we have a lot of questions. So I just want to tell all of our participants that if you have any questions for us, you could submit them in the right-hand questions box in your GoToWebinar panel if you are attending on a computer, or you can email marketing@largo.com if you are joining us by phone. So you guys have answered a few of the questions already, so I won't repeat any. Of course, those who joined us a little bit late, this webinar will be recorded, and we will send it out to all of the participants here today, as well as anyone who was not able to participate in this. So I will start off with the first question. Is the waitlist still in effect for Nature Camp?
We do have several people left on the waiting list for Nature Camp. Nature Camp is the smallest camp. We will only be taking 20 children there. So if we have exhausted everyone on the Highland and Southwest, we will then reach out to those families on the Nature Camp waiting list to see if they're interested in moving to Highland or Southwest.
Okay, great. Are specialty camps that were already canceled still canceled?
Yes, currently, if you go to largocamps.com, we have a reservation form for our sport and specialty camps, and we've been very diligent to keep that up to date. So that has our current listings.
Great. Are sports camps with time changes going to be at the original daily start and stop time or at the revised times? For example, the tennis camp at Southwest.
Tennis camp will be at the revised time, and I believe off the top of my head, I'm not positive, but I think it's from 10:30 to 2. Is that correct? And the reason we made that change is because we want to incorporate swimming, and the hours that is closed for camp swimming is from 1 p.m. till 3 p.m. at the Southwest pool. And we wanted to push that tennis camp back to allow them the time to go to the pool.
I think it's important to note that when we're swimming on site at our Largo pools, we're closed to the public during that time. So it's only camp staff and camp children that are swimming.
Okay, that definitely makes sense. How do we know what group our child is in?
Due to the fact that we are changing and continually about every 15, 20 minutes, we're getting changes coming in as far as who is registered and who's withdrawing. We will not be making the groups for summer camp until the end of the day, probably on Friday, possibly even over the weekend. So that information, they will find out their group when they arrive to camp on Monday, or potentially next week when they do their teacher pickup.
Okay. How do we find out our child's counselor name?
Sarah, would you like to respond? How will they find out who their child's camp counselor is?
It kind of goes back to what Krista said about the groups. It's changing daily. So depending on when you find out what group they're in is when they'll find out their group leader's name. We'll make sure it's attached to the paper that we have their names on. We'll make sure we put the group leader on that same paper.
Okay. How do we get on the Remind app group?
Andrea, would you like to tell them about the Remind app?
Yes. Each camp has a different Remind app, so you will have to find out from each individual camp what their code is that you're going to text, but you will text it to 81010, but you will have to find out each individual camp Remind code.
And if they included when you're registering and doing your ePact paperwork, if you put your cell phone number in there, the staff are preloading some of those in there, or everyone that we receive that phone number on. So you should receive an invite to actually accept being part of that group as well.
And I will say the Remind app is amazing. So if you haven't signed up for it yet, make sure on your day one of drop off, you ask for your code, because that keeps you up to date on what's happening. It reminds you for any special dress up or spirit days. So it's a wonderful means of communication with our camp families.
Definitely. And with all the uncertainty and changes, it's definitely good to have that
Yes.
in your back pocket for sure. Is there an email and phone number to contact the directors of each of the camps?
As far as an email, I would email largocamps@largo.com, and we can forward that email to the appropriate camp director based on what location the child is attending. A phone number, you could call the main facility number at either Highland or Southwest and be able to contact that director.
And we are answering phones this week. So if they call during normal business hours, we'll be able to answer the phones.
Okay. How do we get an additional car tag?
Andrea?
We have been handing them out as parents come for the pickup orientation and t-shirt. As long as they've asked for it, we've been able to hand them out as they've come through.
So when they come for the t-shirt pickup, they can request an additional one.
And if they've already picked up their t-shirt, they could do that on the first day of camp as well.
Okay, great. With the recent updates from the governor and having to sign the waiver, what measures is the city taking to keep our children safe? Is that something you guys want to answer? Or do we want to bring in Terry?
I covered most of what we are doing within camp. I mean, the smaller group sizes, the frequent hand washing, those types of things. Terry, I don't know if you want to add anything in there from a city perspective.
Yeah, Terry, if you'd like to join us, turn on your camera and your audio, and just kind of go over some of the safety measures that the city's kind of been, you know, putting in place as we're reopening things and as we're kind of restarting. How are we keeping our residents and our participants safe in our programs?
So obviously, with the advent of the pandemic, the city and especially the fire department, the main responsibility is making sure that citizens are safe. So we are in constant contact with the emergency management folks, with the county, the Pinellas County Medical Director, the director of the Public Health Department in Pinellas County, the state. We're monitoring all channels and also monitoring the CDC and the WHO organizations for different types of new news that comes out for us to help in protecting the citizens, and in your case, your children that you're going to bring to the summer camp. So for us, it's a matter of trying to take that information, decipher it, and try and make the best logistical and the smartest decisions that is going to take the children into consideration. So I would have to say, rest assured that we are looking at all the information that comes in and taking those steps to make sure. And as Krista said, that the constant hand washing, I can't be wrong if I did not stress to you that how important keeping your children home if they are sick. There is just so much right now, and it's not just the COVID virus, but it is a lot of different viruses that are out there on the everyday circuit, and the ability to keep your children home will make the lives of all the other children there better, in the sense that they're not going to spread the illness to anybody there, and keep the camps open, etc.
That's great, Terry. Thank you. We actually did get another question kind of along those same lines. What cleaning and sanitizing efforts are being put in place? I don't know if Terry, do you want to speak on that, or Krista?
I can answer on that one.
All right, thanks, Terry.
We've actually, between Jen and I both, we've actually built in sanitizing timeframes within the facility, and that's part of the reason why the facility is closed off to the public during camp. So in the morning, our facility will be open. We will close for a period of time and clean and sanitize, and then we will have summer camp. We will then close again before we open up to the public in the evening. The facility will have a deep cleaning each evening. And then we will also have attendants throughout the day while in summer camp that will be going through, and we'll be doing additional sanitizing of, all those areas that the kids touch and that they're using throughout the day. A few of the other things that we are doing is each group leader is going to have their own personalized equipment bag. So they will, the equipment will only be used within that group of 20 children. It's not going to be shared camp-wide. So that allows that equipment will be sanitized at the end of the day prior to it being used by other children the next day. We talked about the temperatures and those types of things in the drop off, and not allowing the public in the building as well.
Okay, great. Another question, do you allow children to watch television or play on smart devices during camp hours?
So that's kind of a camp by camp basis. So we do have some older teens that the group leader has designated time that their smart devices can be out. The general rule of thumb for summer camp is that we're not responsible for lost, stolen, or devices brought into camp. the best thing is to keep it at home and not send it to camp. Will there be TV? So if there's a rainy day, we might schedule a movie. Our rule for our movies is rated G. The only time they can watch anything past a rated G is with prior parent approval. But TV is not a part of our daily schedule, so it's not something where we have 2 hours of TV time a day or anything like that. But it could be used in the means on a rainy day, hurry up, we'll do a movie day with this group to occupy some time. But it's not part of our regular programming.
Okay, great. Along that same vein of kind of, we were just talking about what things are going to be in place to kind of protect the kids and protect the participants. Are the groups of kids isolated throughout the day? So how are we separating our groups? Are they social distancing? Is it just a matter of keeping them separated by group sizes? How are we dealing with that?
So the groups will be divided in groups of 1 to 20, as we mentioned in the beginning. However, they will be with one leader throughout the day. There may be times at the beginning and at the end of the day where that leader may change just because our staff cannot work a 12-hour day. So in order to have the coverage for that group. As far as social distancing, we are going to do our best to social distance within reason, and that is what the requirement is for the Pinellas County Child Care Licensing Board. I mean, when you've got a group of kids, sometimes it can be very difficult to social distance with the little ones. So we are going to do that to the best of our ability in how we incorporate our daily activities.
Things like spacing at tables or standing in line is a lot easier to social distance. But we still are going to play, kickball games and dodgeball games. So there is still going to be a lot of interaction with the kids. And that's what we want to offer is that physical fitness side, that summer camp fun. So will there be times when children are not 6 feet apart? Absolutely, I can see that.
Okay. Another follow-up to that. Any social distancing requirements for, say, watching a movie? I don't know if you kind of answered that directly, but are they, like, if they're watching a movie, would they be sitting 6 feet apart?
If we did have that movie activity that was brought into it, as Jen mentioned, a movie is a last resort for us, so it's not something that's going to happen on a regular basis. In previous summers, we may have taken a field trip to the community center or to the Performing Arts Center and created our own movie theater atmosphere. That is not going to happen this year. So if we are building something in where there is a movie activity, there would definitely be social distancing incorporated.
Okay, great. On the same vein of making sure that our kids are safe as they're returning to our facilities, one of our participants on the webinar wants to know, and Terry, I would invite you to join us for this one. Is there any COVID testing being done on staff prior to camp starting?
There is not any testing going on with the recreation staff.
Yeah, no, right now, the recommendations on just routine testing still are out. And at this point, it's really not something that we want to use as a tool to because it's inability to truly define whether or not anybody has the virus. So that's why we are going to follow what the CDC talks about, the heavy emphasis on trying to keep that the 6 foot separation as much as possible. The counselors wearing masks and trying to, if the kids want to wear them, and then the constant hand washing and then the cleanliness, stuff like that. So the general hygiene and, and the general hygiene rules, and that goes with making sure that kids are trying to cough in their elbow and not, spitting and things of those natures, which are the ones that are going to transmit the virus. So that's what we're going to focus on. I can tell you that, again, if the city finds a means to find the perfect test that will guarantee that we can establish whether or not our employees have the virus, and even potentially others that visit us will probably look at employing those types of tools.
Okay, great.
Katie, I'd just like to add there that all of the summer camp staff did go through a training on Friday evening, and our public educator from the fire department did cover as part of her session some of those signs and the things that if you have any of these symptoms, you should not be, coming to work. So all of that was covered with the staff in addition to the precautionary measures that should be taken.
Okay, we have a follow-up that you guys might be able to speak on. If at some point a staff member or a camper become positive, will you alert the parents?
So absolutely, we have strict guidelines through the Department of Health and Pinellas County License Board that if we had somebody tell us or we determined a positive case, we would absolutely be notifying our families. And in some cases, depending on how the health department leads us, we would follow their direction on how to overcome that.
Yeah, I was just going to echo the sentiments there. The health department is still actively tracking and surveilling any type of positive cases in our community. So yeah, by all means, that would be done.
Okay, great. So another question, if they are sent home without positive confirmation, will parents be told? I don't know if I necessarily get the gist of that question, but I guess if a staff member or a participant are maybe sent home with a fever or something, maybe that might set somebody off thinking that they might have it. Would parents be told?
We would not share the medical history of staff or children unless it was a situation where it was a positive COVID case, and that would be based on the guidance of the health department as well as the fire department.
Okay. Another parent says, if a camper has a temperature one morning that prohibits them from attending that day, the packet that they received said they would need a doctor's note to return. Will they require a COVID test from that child?
No, we would not require a COVID test. We would require a doctor's note, and that just the doctor would then advise that parent whether or not they need a COVID test. If it's just the fever and there's no other symptoms and the doctor does not feel there's a reason to be tested for COVID and they're fine to come back to camp, then that's fine.
All right, great. Another question, you guys have definitely been keeping us busy, so we're going to try to get to as many of these as possible. Will there be a discount to the tuition considering the lunch isn't provided and there aren't any field trips for June?
I can answer that one. So the lunch is provided through a free program, so they're not charged for lunch. So there is no discounts. Like I said, right now, week 1, we know isn't provided with the lunch program. We're hopeful that starting June 8th, week 2, lunch will be provided. So as long as the summer break spot program through Pinellas County Schools is still operating and able to meet COVID guidelines, we will offer those free lunches. There is no discounts for the month of June, although we are not on field trips. We usually take an additional field trip once a week. We're swimming 5 days a week and also bringing in the guests into the program in-house. So there is no discounts on the tuition.
Okay. Somebody's asking, can sunscreen be kept at Highland?
Yes, you're welcome to bring a marked bottle in, and each of the camps will have a bucket for the groups that they can store the sunscreen in, and it can be used prior to going. I do recommend that you sunscreen your children prior to coming to camp, just so that you know as a parent they're getting well covered. Our staff cannot assist with that. So if you want to do an initial spray before they come in, and then that spray that you, or the lotion, whatever you choose to bring, they just add to that when they're applying it prior to going swimming.
Okay. Will the option to pay to add snacks be available?
Sarah, would you like to answer that?
We will not be having that feature this year, you would have to provide your own snacks for all camps.
If we
Okay.
do get the summer break stop program, then that would be for lunch and snack. However, as Jen mentioned, we do not have a confirmation on that yet.
All right, great. Are swim lessons still happening? That's been a big question. Are swim lessons still happening, and will there be aftercare swimming?
Currently, swim lessons are not happening. Unfortunately, there is not a way to social distance when an instructor is doing swim lessons. So the Red Cross has said that the only type of swim lessons we are able to incorporate is parent-child, which cannot be done as part of camp swim lessons. So anyone that was registered for camp swim lessons, that money was applied to a future week of camp, or there's a credit on your household. As far as aftercare swim, we are not currently going to be doing aftercare swim because the pool is open to the public at that time frame. So there is Highland is swimming in the morning at 9 a.m. and Southwest is swimming at 1 o'clock. But that would be the only swim time 5 days a week.
Okay. Somebody was wondering if you could mention the packet and t-shirt pickup date again. I just want to mention to everyone on the call that I will be putting together an FAQ with these answers. So along with the video link, I will be posting the answers to all these questions. So if you guys could just restate the packet and shirt pickup dates.
Andrea, do you want to tell them when the t-shirt and packet pickups are?
We will be doing the t-shirt and packet pickups for the rest of this week from 4 to 7 p.m.
And that's for the families that are starting camp next week,
June 1st.
The families that are starting on June 8th that were just invited to join us this week can pick up next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, June 3rd through 5th from 6 to 7:30.
Okay. A lot of changes have happened with specialty camps. So if you're previously signed up for a specialty camp at one location, how can people find out about what the location is for the new camp, or if it's changed at all?
Absolutely. So we did have to move location of some of our camps, and we have a parent letter that goes out the week before that'll inform them of the new location. With the exception of tennis, I believe we kept all the same dates and times for our sports and specialty camps. Tennis was the only one that had to make a small adjustment at Southwest.
Okay. Another question. I signed my daughter up for another summer camp since she was on the extended wait list. I'm going to have her go to that camp, but depending on how the summer goes, is it possible for her to later sign up to attend a camp at Highland?
That would really depend on if there's space available. As of right now, Highland and Southwest, all three of the camps are completely full, and we are pulling off the waiting list. If we work through everyone on the waiting list and there's space available, we would be happy to add children in mid or late summer. However, we can't make any guarantee to that.
Currently, our wait list is closed online. So we've filled our camps and filled our wait list. So if it happens that we can open the wait list back up, they can check largocamps.com, and we'll have that form updated that they can again reserve for the wait list, but at this time it is closed.
Okay. Will the water fountains be strictly for filling water bottles only, or are they allowed to drink from the fountain also?
We are not turning our water fountains off. We are encouraging kids to bring their own water bottle in order to refill from those water fountains. We do not encourage them to use them in any way. However, we would never want to refuse a child from getting a drink, especially during the heat of the summer.
And this is where our sanitation crew comes into place. So we have people on site that are sanitizing our water fountains, our doorknobs, our frequently touched surfaces all throughout 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that's when that will be key as well. We are strongly urging all the parents a refillable water bottle. If a child is thirsty, we will let them drink from the water fountain, but we do have sanitation available after they're finished.
Okay, let's see. At Southwest, I have a child registered for Kids City and a child registered for My First Camp. Are they doing the same activities?
So this year, the camp is going to be broken down. So it's going to be one big camp, but broken down into 6 groups depending on ages. So they will be doing the same activity depending on the age groups. It could be a little bit more, a little bit less. Like we have a pottery person coming in. So they'll both be able to do the activity. Just one's going to be at a harder level and one will be at a easier level per se.
Okay. Does aftercare have to be paid for the whole week, or can it just be for specific days?
Aftercare is registered by the week.
Okay. For the kids that start on June 8th and are also on auto pay, when will the parents have their first auto payment deducted?
I can talk on that. So if when you registered, there's a couple scenarios here. Before COVID and the closing of our facilities, when you came in and registered for camp, you paid your first and last week. If that is your incident, so if that's what you did, you registered before the facilities closed down, you already paid your first and last week. So that would be June 12th would be the first payment that would come out because you already paid for the week of June 8th. If you only put in a reservation form because the facility was closed, that means you did not pay your first and last yet. So by tomorrow, you have to confirm your spot, pay your first and last, and then again, your first payment would come out on June 12th. So it comes out the Friday before the week begins, if that's helpful.
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay.
I have somebody asking, I know you guys kind of touched on this a little bit already. If prepaid for swim lessons, can you use the money to go towards summer camp tuition?
Yes, if there was a balance on your household for summer camp, when we canceled the camp swim lessons, we automatically applied that to a future week of summer camp. If there was not a balance and you had paid all your summer camp fees in full, then that amount is credited to your household to be used at a future date for registration.
Okay, well, I have come to the end of the list for the questions. I'll give you guys a little bit more time that are viewing this to submit any more questions you might have. But I just want to give you guys a few reminders. If you have any questions about any of our camps, you can go to largocamps.com. You can email any questions that you may have after this to largocamps@largo.com, or you can call our administration Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. That phone number is 727-587-6720. And like I said, this video will be available after we're done. So you can view it after the fact if you have any more questions from that. And it looks like we have some more questions. So what type of education, let's see. Okay, so this person's asking, what type of education are you giving children as far as when they're coming in and attending camp? Are we giving them any sort of education on how to social distance, how to best sanitize, things like that? Or are we going to give them any sort of, crash course on that?
That will be built into the first week's rotation as the leaders are getting to know their groups, as well as frequent reminders will be given as far as washing hands and doing the things that need to be done throughout the day.
Okay. This person's asking, is anything different being done for siblings? So I'm guessing as far as social distancing is concerned, is anything being done differently with siblings?
Not that I'm aware of. I may not be understanding the question properly, but if they're in the same group, would they be allowed to stand next to each other? Yes, because they're in the same household. But generally speaking, if they're different ages, they'd probably be in different groups.
Okay, makes sense. Let's see. If we have to pick up early, is there a time that we shouldn't pick up?
No. So the camp directors will be able to give you the number to call if you have to come before pickup hours. So we are going to man pickup, and correct me if I'm wrong, from 3 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday at each camp place. But if you need to pick up before then, more than likely you would call the facility phone number, and then they would retrieve the child, get their sign out folder, and walk out to you. So even if you're coming before 3 p.m., permission inside the building still does not occur.
From a parent's perspective, I would just encourage you to look at the camp calendar, and if you have any doctor's appointments or anything like that, if you can plan them around the activities on there. Sometimes it is hard to pick up your child if there's a special event or something happening, if that happens to be the time when the pottery person is there doing the activity, or if it's a swim time. Your child may give you a little bit of resistance in leaving at a specific time, but we don't care what time you're actually coming to pick up.
Okay. How is lost and found going to be handled at Highland or any of the other facilities if parents aren't allowed out of their cars?
Andrea?
So at Highland this year, we ordered a rolling wardrobe rack with hangers that will be brought out to the curb. And if parents feel like their child lost something, we will help them go through and see if their child's item is on that rack.
Okay.
But definitely write your child's name on everything.
Yeah, good practice for sure.
We are going to also start from day one trying to get the kids used to making sure that everything is placed in their cubby or their assigned location. It's going to be real important that personal belongings are not touching and that they have their own designated area. So that's going to be emphasized as well from day one.
Okay. If our child has an Epi Pen, do we bring that on the first day or another time?
Yes, so Epi Pens are permitted in camp because they're a life-saving device. They have to be given at sign-in with a medication form that's signed. It has to be in its original box, so you have to understand Epi Pens usually come in a case, but for us, we have to have it in its prescription box. It cannot be expired, and then we will make sure that that group leader has that Epi Pen on them at all times until the child goes home.
Okay. Do the children need to come to camp in their swimsuit?
I would recommend for Highland, yes, because they are swimming at 9 a.m. It's going to make the transition a little easier, and it's going to give them more swim time if they come in that bathing suit under their clothes. Southwest, there's not a need to do that because they're not swimming until 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay. Do we need to call the facility if we know our child will not be attending camp?
It's not mandatory, but we do prefer it.
Are you talking withdrawal or just sick? Just sick. Yeah, if they're not coming for the day because they have other plans or doctor appointments, then you don't have to call the facility. They just won't get marked in that day.
Okay. All right. Does anyone else have any more questions? Oh, all right. This is a question about some of the, I guess, snack bar items or things that we were, I think, giving kids when they were swimming. Is that going to be open to the campers to use?
The concession stand is open at the Highland Family Aquatic Center. However, they are only going to be selling prepackaged items.
Okay.
So it's going to be very limited. There's not, actually, I take that back. It will not be open during the swim time. Andrea just reminded me because it is closed to the public. So that is not a time that it will be open. So
okay, so just make sure that you guys are giving your children snacks for anything and, any cool glasses of water or anything like that. If you guys are looking for kind of like a cooling treat or a sweet treat, definitely send that with them.
And for those of you that have attended camp with us previously, at least initially for the month of June, Other than I believe Highland is doing Kona Ice one day a week, there is not a reason for the children to bring money to camp. So there's no field trips, there's no snack shop, there's nothing. So have them keep their money at home so that it does not get lost or stolen, other than that Wednesday icy day.
And
Does
how much?
Southwest have anything?
We are having one, but we're gonna have our kids pre-order theirs, so we don't have to deal with money at all, and then we'll just bring the kids out to go pick it up.
So that information will be in your packet, but I know for Highland, it's recommended $3 to $5 on Wednesdays.
Okay. And how many snack times are the kids allowed during camp? Or how many do you guys have scheduled, I guess?
Typically on a camp day, depending on what the schedule looks like, we'll either have snack in the morning. If in the month of June, I know we have a lunchtime, depending on age, it's at 11 or 12, and then we'll have our snack time around 3. In July, if anything ever changes, if they have a later lunch, we'll definitely eat snack before we go on a trip or swimming, and then we'll eat a later lunch. So again, it just depends on the daily schedule, but for the month of June, we have lunch 11 or 12, and then a snack time around 3.
All right. Doesn't look like any other questions have come in. So if you guys have any other thoughts, comments, anything that you guys want to wrap up with?
No, just a reminder for our email, any questions, largocamps.com. We'll be glad to respond to any questions that you may have to the best of our abilities. And we can share things with the individual camp directors so that they can respond with anything specific that's not citywide.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for answering everyone's questions. It was very helpful and I learned a lot. I want to thank Terry for being on the line as well to answer some of the safety and cleaning questions that we got. And like I said, this will be available after we will send out an email with the link to view this. And I hope everyone has a great day.
Yay!
Thank
Camp's
you.
right around the corner.